Hello and welcome to this recap of the 2023 Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Please note that it contains major spoilers for the film, so if you don't want it to get spoiled, then you should stop watching this recap video now. With that out of the way, let's get started, shall we? The film opens in a place that still smells faintly of birthday cake and bleach. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place, a once thriving family entertainment center that is now frozen in time. Fluorescent lights hum over dusty tables, prize counters, and a stage where animatronic mascots stand. A lone night guard named Bob, frantic and desperate, fights with a vent in the security office as something pounds on the door outside. He crawls through a narrow duct into the storage room, finds a locked gate, and then the world closes in. An animatronic lunges, straps him into a chair, and a mechanical head with spinning blades inches toward his face. He fumbles with screws, manages to loosen one, and then the scene cuts away. His death is implied, brutal, and off-screen. The camera then lingers on a faded photograph. A yellow rabbit holding hands with 5 smiling children. That image will haunt the rest of the story. We meet Michael Schmidt in the ordinary light of morning. An underemployed mall security guard who wakes at 6 a.m., pops pills into a drawer, goes through a perfunctory workout and checks on his sister, Abby. Their home life is small and strained but tender. Abby hides in a makeshift tent in her room, drawing and retreating into her own world. Michael is tired, distracted, and haunted by a past he can't shake. A childhood memory of his brother Garrett being taken, a memory that plays like a broken tape in his sleep. He's trying to hold things together, pay overdue rent, babysit, and keep custody of Abby, but his record is patchy and his options are thin. At the mall, Michael's co-worker Jeremiah is reading a book called Dream Theory, and the two trade a light, uneasy banter about whether dreams can be more than memory. That theme, dreams as a doorway, threads through everything that follows. Michael's daycare of Abby is interrupted by a violent misunderstanding. He mistakes a father for a kidnapper and chases him through the mall, only to be humiliated after assaulting him. And then a little later, Mike is scolded by his career counselor, Steve Raglan. Steve's office is a turning point. He reads Michael's poor employment history aloud, then almost casually offers him a security gig at a place with terrible hours and high turnover. It's not a great job, but it's a job, and Michael, desperate to prove he can provide for Abby, takes it. The first night shift at Freddy Fazbear's is quieter than Michael expects, but sleep brings him back to the worst night of his life. He dreams of the camping trip where Garrett vanished, and this time the dream is different. 5 children appear, ghostly, distant, and always just out of reach. When Michael tries to approach them, they scatter, and the dream ends with a sense of accusation and invitation. On his second shift, the dream repeats and escalates. When he reaches for one of the children, he is attacked and jolts awake, wounded. Officer Vanessa Shelley patches him up and gives him a tour of the restaurant, explaining the grim history. The place closed in the 1980s after 5 children were murdered, and their bodies were never found. The animatronics, she says, are more than machines in the eyes of the town. Outside the restaurant, Michael's life is under siege. His Aunt Jane, who wants custody of Abby, hires vandals to break into the pizzeria and get Michael fired. That plan backfires in the most horrific way. The animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and a smaller figure called Mr. Cupcake activate and slaughter the vandals. Among the dead is Max, Abby's babysitter, and Michael is forced to bring Abby to his next shift. The stakes shift from job security to survival and protection. What follows is a strange, heartbreaking inversion. The animatronics befriend Abby. They are gentle with her, and protective in a way that feels almost parental. With Michael, though, they are hostile, as if they sense something in him they don't trust. Michael learns the truth in pieces. The animatronics are possessed by the ghosts of the 5 murdered children, and their leader is a blonde boy who keeps mentioning a yellow rabbit. The phrase hangs in the air like a riddle. Michael's dreams grow more insistent and sinister. The children in them offer him a bargain, stay with Garrett forever, but only if he gives them Abby. He initially accepts, but then quickly refuses and the dream becomes a trap. He wakes up strapped to a grotesque torture device, the same one that killed the night guard in the opening scene. He escapes by removing pins that the previous guard had loosened, but not without cost. Foxy mauls him, leaving him badly wounded. The horror follows Michael home. A damaged yellow Freddy, twisted and uncanny, appears in his house, and in a chilling sequence it takes Abby, apparently killing Jane in the process. Abby is whisked away in a taxi, and the film pivots into a race against time. Vanessa, who has been a steady presence, reveals a devastating connection. She is the daughter of William Afton, the man responsible for the murders. Afton's name lands like a stone. Vanessa explains that her father hid the children's bodies inside the animatronics, and that their souls are bound to those machines. The revelation reframes everything. The animatronics are both victims and avengers, and William Afton is the architect of the nightmare. Michael storms back to Freddy Fazbear's with tools and a plan to disable the animatronics and rescue Abby. The rescue is chaotic and brutal. Chica lunges for Abby. Michael intervenes and saves her, but the animatronics are relentless. Mr. Cupcake attacks and separates Michael from Abby. For a moment it seems the machines will win, until Steve Raglan arrives in a twist that lands like a punch. He's wearing the yellow rabbit suit. He reveals himself as William Afton, the man behind the murders, and knocks Michael unconscious. The yellow rabbit, so often referenced in whispers and dreams, was not a symbol but a person in a costume, a predator hiding in plain sight. Abby, small and brave, draws a picture that becomes the turning point. She sketches William murdering the children, a child's blunt, honest depiction of the truth. Vanessa, torn between family and conscience, tries to stop William but is stabbed in the struggle and falls into a coma. Abby's drawing is shown to the animatronics, and the machines finally understand the truth in a way they can act on. They turn on William. In a grisly, mechanical justice, Mr. Cupcake bites into the suit, triggering internal springlock mechanisms that fatally wound Afton in a springlock failure. The animatronics drag him into a back room, as Michael and Abby carry a wounded Vanessa out. She is rushed to the hospital and slips into a coma. The film closes its main arc with a bittersweet, uneasy victory. William Afton is defeated, Abby is safe for now, and Michael continues to care for her, trying to stitch their lives back together. But the final moments refuse to let the audience rest. In the back room of the restaurant, William Afton is still alive, clutching at his wounds while twitching in the spring-locked Spring Bonnie suit, pain and something like defiance on his face. One of the ghost children closes the door, leaving him in the dark. Then, in a mid-credits scene that chills the blood, the taxi driver who once carried Abby and a strange golden Freddy figure naps in his car. He hears the passenger door open and finds a balloon boy figurine in the seat which scares him, an eerie, childish token. During the end credits, a distorted, robotic voice whispers, "Come find me." The line is a hook. The story is not over. The film ends with the sense that the animatronics world and the human world are still entangled, that William Afton's influence may not be fully extinguished, and that whatever comes next will be darker and more personal. Thanks for listening to this movie recap of the 5 Nights at Freddy's movie, and what did you think of this film? See you in the next movie recap. Hello, and welcome to this recap of the 2025 5 Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. Please note that it contains major spoilers for the film, so if you don't want it to get spoiled, then you should stop watching this recap video now. With that out of the way, let's get started, shall we? The night at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1982 begins like a memory you can't quite place. Balloons, paper crowns, the sticky sweetness of cake, and the low, mechanical hum of animatronics waiting in the wings. Charlotte is small and brave in that way children are. Sitting at the foot of the stage, eyes fixed on the stairs where the marionette is supposed to appear. Vanessa Afton, gentle and watchful, leans down to coax her back into the party's orbit, to keep her from wandering too close to the shadows. For a moment, the world is ordinary. Laughter, the squeak of shoes, the bright, painted faces of the mascots. Then the ordinary fractures. Charlotte sees something adults refuse to see. In the dim corridor behind the stage, a figure in a yellow rabbit suit, William Afton, moves with a predator's casualness. He takes a boy by the hand and leads him away. Charlotte's voice tries to pull the adult's attention. Their eyes slide past her. Vanessa protests, but Charlotte follows anyway, the way a child follows a thread of wrongness she cannot name. The back rooms smell of grease and bleach. In the kitchen, the boy lies unconscious. William is at the sink, washing utensils as if nothing is wrong. That small, ordinary motion becomes Charlotte's only chance. When the man in the rabbit suit steps away, she acts. She lifts the boy, carries him out, and brings him back to the stage where the party is still going on. Her victory is immediate and terrible. William reappears like a shadow that has learned to move through doors. He chases Charlotte down a hallway while she is carrying the boy, and she runs with the speed of a child who has seen too much. She makes it out. She gets the boy to safety, but not without cost. A blade, a flash of pain, and Charlotte collapses on the stage, her scream cutting through the party's noise. The boy is safe. Charlotte is not. She dies there in the light, and the trapdoor beneath the stage opens as if the building itself is swallowing the moment whole. The marionette emerges, silent and quiet, and carries Charlotte's small body. That image, an empty stage, a fallen child, the puppet lifting her body, becomes the hinge on which the restaurant's fate turns. Investigations circle and stall. Authorities shrug and say no single person can be blamed for the murder. No arrests are made, but the scandal is enough. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closes its doors, shuttered by rumor and grief. 2 decades later, the past is not a closed book, but a radio station that keeps playing the same song. Vanessa wakes to a call from Mike Schmidt, and the ordinary cadence of adult life, dinner plans, and small talk, and tries to cover the old wounds. Abby, Mike's sister who carries her own history of animatronic friends and losses, teases the idea of Mike and Vanessa's dinner as a date. Jeremiah, painting a house with Mike, disapproves of the evening as he is the kind of friend who thinks the past should stay buried. On the school bus, Abby tells the other kids the story of the rabbit's body rumored to still lie in the abandoned pizzeria restaurant. Most of them laugh it off as a ghost story, but a few listen because children are the only ones who still believe in the stubborn persistence of things that should be gone. At school, the world narrows to deadlines and projects. Mr. Borg, the robotics teacher, is a man who measures worth in finished circuits and completed science fair entries. He rants about FazFest, the town's attempt to turn a dark memory into a festival, and threatens failure for anyone who lets the event distract them. When he sees Abby's small robotic chica, he crosses her name off the list for the fair, telling her not to come. The dismissal stings. A boy beside her, noticing her skill, suggests she could fix the animatronics herself, which gives Abby an idea. That night, the domestic scene is tender and strained. Mike Schmidt asks Abby to help him tie his tie before going out for his dinner with Vanessa. He is awkward in the way adults are when they try to be kind. Abby asks to visit her animatronic friends at Freddy's. Mike refuses, promising repairs soon and urging her to make real friends. He leaves her $20 and a gentle, if clumsy, attempt at normalcy. Abby, left with the glow of the television, watches Spectral Scoopers, a horror show that treats the pizzeria like a haunted set piece. The shows flicker, and the house's quiet push her toward a decision. She slips out, leaving a note, and returns to the place that holds her memories. After the dinner with Vanessa, when Mike returns home and finds the note, he follows her to the abandoned restaurant and finds Abby sitting in front of the stage, small and stubborn in the dark. He tells her that her friends may be gone from the living world, but remain in her heart. It's an attempt at consolation that lands somewhere between comfort and the admission of helplessness. To make amends, he lets her take a small keepsake, a Faz talker, a toy that speaks in canned phrases but feels like a gift to a child who refuses to let go. As they leave, Mike notices a flyer taped among the FazFest advertisements. a call to boycott the festival, and a phone number scrawled beneath it. He tucks the paper away, a small practical act that hints at the town's unresolved tensions. Meanwhile, the crew of spectral scoopers, consisting of Rob, Lisa, and Alex, arrive at Freddy's for a live episode, hungry for clicks and ratings. They've been invited by the night guard, who insists on being called Michael when Lisa slips and calls him Mike by accident. He leads them through the restaurant with the practiced charm of someone who knows how to stage fear. Tarps cover Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Chico on the stage. The absence of Toy Foxy is explained away as a failed attraction that became something else entirely, the Mangle. A grotesque, reassembled animatronic that was a take-apart and put-back-together attraction for kids, with Michael stating, "Kids can be so heartless." The building itself seems to breathe. Lisa hears music on her sound detector, an old, tiny lullaby, and suggests they split up to cover more ground. The decision fractures the group. Rob wanders into the boat ride tunnel and is taken by surprise when a bulb explodes and he falls into the water. The sound of his fall is a punctuation mark. The place is not merely abandoned, it is waiting. Lisa finds the source of the music beneath the stage. A room with a large gift box and a music box sitting beside it. She shuts the music off and leans in, curiosity overriding caution. The box opens on its own. The marionette, long dormant, reanimates and attacks. Panic becomes a chain reaction. Alex hears her screams and rushes to help Lisa, but Michael, who had been smiling in a way that does not reach his eyes, does nothing to stop what follows after Alex yells at him and says, "What did you do to her?" to Michael. And then it happens. The Mangle, a tangle of metal and teeth, snatches Alex with brutal efficiency. His body is torn and dropped, the camera capturing a single terrible hand. Rob, hearing splashing, turns to see the final marionette doll, after they have all disappeared, dropping into the water. He is dragged down, their tiny faces blank and relentless, and the sound of his screams is swallowed by the pool as he is drowned. When Michael finally goes downstairs, he finds Lisa possessed by the marionette. The spirit animating her is Charlotte, the child who died on the stage decades earlier. The possession is not gentle, it is a reclamation. Lisa, no longer herself, charges at Michael. He runs. He makes it out of Freddy's, breathless and grinning with a smile that is all teeth and no warmth. As he steps into the night, he says, "Welcome back, Charlotte," a line that lands like a benediction and a threat at once. The words hang in the air, and the restaurant behind him seems to exhale, as if something long held in the dark has finally been let loose. The morning after the spectral scoopers massacre, Mike's house feels like a place where the air itself is holding its breath. Abby sits at the kitchen table with her science fair project spread out in front of her. Mike watches from the doorway, helpless in the way adults are when the past has lodged itself in a child's chest. He wants to fix things for her, to promise that the animatronics will be repaired and the ghosts will stay buried, but he has no map for how to do that. So he does what he can. Small kindnesses, a breakfast, a tie straightened for a dinner he hopes will feel normal. Vanessa's day is a different kind of experience. In a crowded workout class, she is suddenly back in the corridor of her childhood. Only this time the corridor is alive with menace. William Afton's spring Bonnie suit fills her vision, a grotesque, familiar silhouette that moves with the intimacy of a memory that refuses to die. She bolts into a changing room and, in the panic of it, points her gun at a startled patron. The world narrows to the pulse in her wrist and the echo of a laugh that should not be there. At home, she tries to armor herself against the past. She gathers her father's things into boxes, tapes the windows shut, and speaks aloud to the empty house, telling the man who haunts her that she no longer needs him. The confrontation is a trap. In a vision, William chases her down the stairs, whispering possessive words, "You'll always be mine, you're my favorite." And she runs until she finds herself in the memory of a child hiding in a closet in William's workshop, watching Circus Baby's eyes glow in the dim. The dream ends with a shot fired, a man falling from a railing, and Vanessa waking with the taste of iron in her mouth and the certainty that the past is not done with her. That night, while the town sleeps, Abby's Faz talker buzzes with a message that reads like a dare and a promise. Toy Chica wants help and gives the address of the original Freddy's. Abby slips out into the dark and heads to the location with the Faz talker guiding her in her bike's basket. The pizzeria is a husk of banners and dust, but when Toy Chica appears on the stage, the reunion is immediate and tender, an old friend returned. Toy Chica helps Abby finish the science project, lending mechanical precision to a child's imagination until the final piece clicks into place. In the morning, Vanessa hears the Faz talker chattering in Abby's room and finds the girl radiant with triumph. Abby explains, breathless, how she did it. Vanessa's confusion turns to alarm when Abby describes the original Freddy's location with a specificity that makes the hair on Vanessa's arm stand up. Mike arrives with breakfast and reveals he learned about Charlotte from the number on a flyer he found at Freddy's. Vanessa's frustration with his casualness is a quiet, simmering thing. She knows the danger, and Mike still treats it like a story. On the day of the science fair, Mike detours to Henry Emily's house. Henry is a man hollowed out by grief. He has plastered boycott flyers across town because he cannot accept that his daughter's death was an accident. He believes it was murder, and his anger has hardened into a campaign. From him, Mike learns about the river rides at the original Freddy's location, and in a gesture that feels like passing a torch, Henry gives Mike Charlotte's music box, the tiny thing that once kept the marionette's spirit at bay. Vanessa goes to the old pizzeria and finds the music box still, but its mechanism has been stopped. The silence is a wound. She realizes Charlotte has awakened, and in a moment of terrible clarity tries to speak to the child's spirit. Charlotte does not listen to reason. She lashes out, and Vanessa is attacked. Back at school, Mr. Berg performs a petty cruelty. He accidentally drops Abby's project, shattering it into pieces in front of the other students. The humiliation sends Abby pedaling straight to Freddy's, where she finds Toy Chica waiting and Charlotte's presence humming through the animatronics circuits. Charlotte, who remembers being ignored and betrayed, offers Abby a bargain. Make the animatronics your science project and help them leave, and they will be your friends again. The price is a password, an override that will lift the restriction keeping the animatronics trapped. Vanessa is forced into a nightmare calculus. Charlotte watches her through cameras and threatens to kill Abby through Toy Chica, and Vanessa, desperate to protect the child she has come to care for, gives up the code. The moment Abby types it in, the locks click open. The animatronics step out of the dark and into the world. A taxi driver's incredulous stare becomes a small, comic beat as Toy Chica climbs into the back seat with Abby and rides to the science fair with her, with the taxi driver saying he should get a new job and that it's too weird for him. Abby walks into the gym with her friend at her side, unaware of the full cost of what she has done. Mike, finally connecting the dots from Vanessa's morning warning and the flyer he found, returns to the original location alone. He slips through a back room where the withered animatronics, prototype versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, stand like broken sentinels. The scene is worse than he imagined. Lisa's body lies where the marionette left it, a grim proof of the danger that has been unleashed. He finds Vanessa tied up and rescues her, and she tells him the truth in a voice that is both accusation and plea. Charlotte is not a monster. She is a child who was failed by the adults who could have saved her. Her revenge is aimed at those parents, and the only way to stop her is to reach the control center and re-enable the system restriction that will cut off the wireless signal animating the animatronics. Their escape is a gauntlet. Balloon Boy nearly slices Mike with a spinning propeller hat in the boat rides water, a moment that is more terror than spectacle. They stagger into the security office, and Mike begins the technical work of reactivating the restriction, while Vanessa leaves and goes to search for Abby, not knowing the danger she is in. At the science fair, Toy Chica is a sensation, until Mr. Borg, still bitter and dismissive, calls the animatronic a fraud and insists she is nothing more than a person in a suit, and tells Abby to take her freak show friend out of the fair now. Charlotte's revenge is precise and merciless. After Toy Chica tells Abby she wants to see what's in Mr. Berg's head, she enters a quiet part of the school and chases Mr. Berg, with Toy Chica killing him after he is cornered in an empty dark room, crushing his head in a moment that is brutal and violent, leaving his broken glasses and a smear of blood as the only punctuation to the violence. After Toy Chica returns to Abby, she is declared the winner of the fair in a hollow, surreal instant, with Abby being unaware Toy Chica just killed Mr. Berg. As Mike works to block the wireless signal that freed the animatronics, the withered animatronics stir. The prototypes, long dormant, awaken when they sense someone trying to cut off Charlotte's control. Fazfist arrives like a carnival stitched over an old wound. Banners, food trucks, families laughing under the night, and the loose toy animatronics moving through the crowd like misplaced mascots come to life. They fit in perfectly. No one expects the smiling, plastic faces to be the real things, and no one imagines they could be dangerous. The festival's cheer becomes a camouflage for something far darker, and the town's attempt to celebrate its past only makes it easier for the past to walk among them. Vanessa's escape from the pizzeria has not freed her from violence. While driving through town, she is ambushed by the Mangle, a twisted, reassembled thing that attacks her car with ferocity. Metal claws rake the paint, glass shatters, and for a moment it seems the machine will tear her from the road. Elsewhere, Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie drift into quiet neighborhoods, peering through windows and testing the edges of normal life. Toy Freddy is about to strike a couple in their home when Vanessa, bleeding and furious, slams her brakes with a desperate, perfect timing. The sudden stop launches the Mangle through a house window and into Toy Freddy. The collision collapses Toy Freddy and spares the couple. It's a chaotic, cinematic rescue. Brutal, messy, and human in its improvisation. Mike, working frantically from the security office, manages to shut down the wireless signal that has been animating the toy animatronics. For a heartbeat, the town breathes easier. The machines go still, their menace paused. But the victory is partial. One signal finds its way to Mike's house. Toy Chica, carrying an exhausted Abby like a child cradling a friend, arrives at the Schmidt home and begins to fail. Her servos stutter, her voice glitches, and cracks spider across her painted face. When Toy Chica's chest finally splits open, the marionette Charlotte bursts free from the animatronic's hollow body like a thing that has been waiting for release. She lunges at Abby, and in a moment that is both tender and terrifying, possesses the girl to restore the wireless signal and call the others back to life. Vanessa tries to race to Mike's house, but the damage from the Mangle has left her car dead on the roadside. Jeremiah, who has been a steady if skeptical presence, finds her stranded and offers help. The small kindness is a human counterpoint to the mechanical horrors that have been unleashed, but it cannot undo what has already been set in motion. Mike realizes that brute force and circuitry won't be enough to stop Charlotte. The marionette is not merely a machine. She is a child with a grievance, and the only thing that might reach her is the thing she once loved. He returns to the Freddy's Pizzeria location, where he once worked, and calls to the spirits of the children who have been trapped in metal for decades, asking them for help. Back at the Schmidt house, Vanessa confronts the worst of her fears. Abby, possessed by the marionette, moves with a voice that is not her own. The struggle to free Mike's sister is wrenching. Mike arrives in time, music box in hand, the same tiny thing Henry Emily once used to keep Charlotte calm, and plays it. The lullaby works. Charlotte's fury softens, and she releases Abby. The moment is fragile. A child freed by a child's song. All of a sudden, Michael, who has been operating in the shadows, appears in the room and reveals himself not as an ally but as Vanessa's brother and William Afton's son, the infamous Michael Afton. His shocking reveal is a cold, deliberate thing. He intends to continue his father's legacy. He has used Fazfist as a stage for a massacre, and he announces his plan with a line that chills the room. Half of this town will be dead by morning. The revelation reframes everything. The smiling man who once seemed helpful is now the architect of the carnage. Michael orders the toy animatronics to kill Abby, Vanessa, and Mike, and break their bones when Vanessa refuses to join him. The command turns the festival into a battlefield, but the plan suddenly collapses. The spirits of the children Mike had called out to for help, those same lost kids who have been bound to metal for years, arrive in the forms of the original animatronics from the first film. They move with purpose and destroy the toy animatronics Michael controls, ripping apart the puppets of his plan. The spectacle is violent. The children's ghosts reclaim their bodies long enough to stop the slaughter. Exposed and defeated, Michael Afton flees Mike's house. Jeremiah, who has been watching and waiting, punches and knocks him out, an act that is both practical and symbolic. The toy animatronics fall lifeless, their circuits cut, their bodies collapsing into the dust. As the machines go quiet, the leader of the missing children steps forward to speak. In a moment that is a sad farewell, the ghost child tells Mike and Abby that they can now move on to the afterlife. The ghost children are finally able to leave the world that trapped them, and their departure will finally put their souls to rest. Before they go, the leader offers a last, human plea: live your life. The spirits urge the Schmidt siblings to give the living world another chance and encourage Abby to embrace the life she still has. It is a tender, almost parental moment amid the wreckage. As the children prepare to move on, one of them, who had once possessed an original animatronic, warns Mike that someone will get out and be stronger than before, and that they won't be able to hold him back anymore. Mike doesn't understand the warning in the moment, but it implies the thing they feared the most may not be gone. Outside, the aftermath is messy and unresolved. Michael Afton is not where he was left. He has vanished, implying escape. Mike and Abby leave with Jeremiah, shaken and changed. Mike, feeling betrayed by Vanessa's secrecy about her brother, tells her to keep her distance. An angry human reaction that fractures the fragile alliances the night had forged. As they drive away, Vanessa watches them go, and the film gives the audience one last, cold twist. Charlotte, as the marionette, slips up behind Vanessa and possesses her. The cycle of possession and grief continues, and the movie ends on a note that is both tragic and inevitable. In the mid-credits scene, 3 young men break into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza during a storm, hunting for authentic props to sell or display. They find a secret back room, and beneath dust and plastic, the Spring Bonnie animatronic, which is an authentic Springlock suit that none of them understands, which they call finding a real one, and unknown to them, contains William Afton's decaying remains inside of it, hence the horrible smell they complain about. They wrap it in plastic and plan to haul it away, a trophy of nostalgia. But while they step out to fetch a dolly, one of the suit's eyes flickers on and glows, a small, terrible sign that something has awakened. The suit's eye then brightens into the same malevolent light fans we'll recognize from Springtrap. William Afton's spirit, no longer held back, returns in that moment, taking possession of the decayed Spring Bonnie suit and hints at a future in which he will rise again as Springtrap. The scene is a setup for a third film, a promise that the horror is not finished. The end credits carry one final chill. Henry Emily calls Mike, his voice urgent and ragged, confirming his identity as the former business partner of William Afton. He tries to warn Mike that Charlotte is still out there and that she will be coming for him. The call ends with a scream, and the film closes on the sound of terror, which makes it clear that the spectral vengeance will continue in future 5 Nights at Freddy's movies. Thanks for listening to this movie recap of the 5 Nights at Freddy's 2 movie, and what did you think of this film? See you in the next movie recap.